job in choosing one of the coolest tracks in Dragoncon, the film festival track, and a man who needs no introduction, but is much too important not to have one. We are in the midst of greatness, as your applause has already indicated. A man who brought back intelligence, who brought back social conscience, who brought back entertainment to the horror genre, one of the most maligned genres of film. And now you're going to hear much more about it. So I'll shut up, and here is the wonderful George Romero.
You hear me? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thanks for showing up. I mean, it's amazing. I'm always very flattered. And I don't have anything to say. Here's somebody's cell phone. Should I check in for messages? Thank you again. And I'm not here to do a speech. I'd rather, hear from you guys what you want to ask or what you want to say. So let's just open it up for questions. I think it's the best. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but everyone says it's really terrific, and that's the best one. I haven't done a Masters of Horror yet. I haven't had time to sit down and write a script, but I know all the boys, and they're all good guys. I heard it was great. I haven't seen it. Sorry.
How many people line up back here at the microphone?
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
Let's go ahead and line up. Line going this way at the back for folks who have questions, and you can ask at this microphone right here.
Okay, whatever. Some sort of policy.
Mr. Romero, I think it's pretty safe to say that every single person in this room would like to be a zombie in one of your movies.
We could have the dance right here.
I spoke with you briefly about this, but I was wondering if you might demystify a little bit the process of actually being in one. If you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I've made my last 2 films in Canada, and I'm doing this, we're starting to shoot in October, November, this other thing, and it's in Canada, and unfortunately, I actually think that the Canadians got it down. I think the American unions ought to protect their people more. The Canadians do. So it's very hard. It's only on a day when I've hired, or when not me, I don't hire them, the production hires 75 Canadian union. And it's only on that day that I can even bring my daughter in. My daughter was in Land of the Dead. Is this working?
Yeah.
She shoots the zombie at the electrified fence, but the only day that I could do it was a day when we had hired 65 Canadian paid actors. My daughter was not paid. So it's the way it is. It's hard. Up there it's tough. Otherwise I would invite all of you guys, and we'd have we wouldn't need any more zombies. We'd have them all. But it's tough up there. So I don't know if it's not really a demystification. That's just the way it is. And they're right. Our unions ought to do the same thing. We ought to be more protective of the people that work in film. We're not. Hello.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for being here with all of us this weekend. It's really an honor.
My pleasure.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about Diary of the Dead.
Yeah.
How you came up with the idea and how it's going.
Well, actually it was before Land of the Dead. I wanted to sort of go back to the roots and go back back and do something under the radar very inexpensively. And I came up with this idea, and then we got the deal for Land of the Dead. And so I went off and made that. And then I went back and I had this script sitting around for this thing called Diary of the Dead. And you know, basically we lost our copyright on Night of the Living Dead. It's a long story. Our title was Night of the Flesh Eaters, and Walter Reed, the distributor, changed the title to Night of the Living Dead. When they did that, they took off the title card on which we had the copyright note, and they changed it. Nobody put copyright notes. So Night of the Living Dead is in public domain, basically. And, you know, we've been fighting it in courts and then, you know, for ever since. So this is another attempt to reestablish a copyright. And sort of going back to the very first day when the dead started coming back to life with a new cast of characters. And I dig it because it's low budget and it's subjective camera. I mean, you know, the premise is that these college kids are out shooting their own little horror movie on the night when they hear the news, and they take off in a van, and basically it's all seen through that guy's camera. At least the first episode is, and I'm hoping there'll be a few more episodes. So it's, you know, sort of like Skip and Spectre did that Book of the Dead, and so this is sort of what was happening at the same time. So basically starting over. Here I am, 66 and starting over. But, you know, I love it. I love it. There's nobody on our ass. There's no marketing companies. There's no studio. And it's just us kids going up. Making our own comedy. Who's that? Who's that?
Hey, all right, I'll take it. How you doing? I work for a small special effects company in Lawrenceville, and we've got your picture plastered all over the walls. You are our god in our shop, and I just want to say thanks for being here. Absolutely. My question was, as a special effects artist, I wanted to know your philosophy on special effects, CGI versus, say, practical effects.
I would always prefer to do it on the set. I mean, I love practical effects. I think they're a gas. There was, in Land of the Dead, there was one gag that Nicotero couldn't pull off. It was the guy, there's a guy, he's meant to be a priest, but his collar, I don't know, wound up looking metallic or something. So, he doesn't really register as a priest. But it's a zombie whose head is like basically hanging off his back. So when he shows up, it's just a neck. And we tried to do it practically, where the guy is supposed to lean forward and his head flips up, bites this guy. And we tried to do it practically. We tried it 3 times and we just couldn't pull it off. So we had to use CG for that. And I still think the guy, the guy comes flipping over and he looks like the Joker in a bad Batman movie. Because it's CG, and I would much prefer, I much prefer trying to do things practically. Sometimes, you have to resort to it. I don't, in the Land of the Dead, again, we need to create the building, there were some things that needed to be CG. And we didn't have, like when the zombies come up out of the water, I don't know how many have seen it, but we were working in a wave pool, so it was small, so when we needed it to be bigger, we had to expand the shot with CG. So CG can be, computer-generated stuff can save you, it can make a shot look more spectacular than it is, but I think so many movies are made with CG is the star, and everybody told me King Kong is great, man. I thought it was just a CG fest. I didn't like the movie particularly, but so I think, we can use it or abuse it. That's really where it's at. If you want to take off Gary Sinise's legs, great.
I was curious what horror films inspired you as a child, and as us congoers, I was curious what the most unique material a fan has came to you and asked for you to sign, because I saw Dawn of the Dead when I was 8 years old. It was my first zombie experience, and it scared the living shit out of me.
So what, did you ask me to sign your shit? Or what?
No, I was just curious, as long as you've been the legend that you are, what, piece of materials made you go, wow, I can't believe this person has that, and they're presenting it to me.
Well, I won't sign a piece of shit. People come up, I worry sometimes, because people come up and they have, blood on their arm. It's this gorgeous goddamn drawing. It must have taken hours and, pain. Tremendous amount of pain. I don't like doing it, but people ask me to, sign my bicep, sign my, whatever. But I'll draw the line here and there.
And what horror films inspired you as a child?
As a child, it wasn't so much horror. Well, I'm old enough that I saw the big screen in my local theater. I grew up in the Bronx. They were re-releasing all the Universal, Frankenstein, Dracula, and all that. So I saw those movies big screen. I said, yes, last night. I said, how many people ever saw Dracula on a big screen? How many? 5? You, maybe.
Re-release.
It was gorgeous. So I saw that shit big screen. And then the modern film, when I was modern, was The Thing. Christian Nyby's The Thing, if Nyby actually directed it, if it wasn't Hawks. And that scared the pants off of me. But mostly, the movies that I watched were not horror movies. The movie that inspired me to make movies is a movie called Tales of Hoffman. It's a Michael Powell film, The Archers. It's an opera ballad. It's a fantasy, but it's just beautiful. If anybody has never seen this movie, check it out. It's called Tales of Hoffman. It came out a couple of years ago on DVD. I just loved it. And there's this anecdote that I tell, because I used to, when I was growing up, if you wanted to show a movie at home, you had to actually go to an audiovisual place and rent a projector, rent a 16mm print. That's the only way you could have movies at home. So I used to go down to the Janus Films and I'd ask for Tales of Hoffman. And the guy said, you're the only guy that ever takes this out. Nobody knows this movie. One day I went in and somebody had taken it out. Somebody had it. So this goes on for a while. Every once in a while I'd take it out, and this other guy would take it out, and the other guy's name was Scorsese. Lived in Brooklyn. We never met, but the only 2 people that ever took that movie out from Janus was me and Mark. And it was like years later we met, and we were talking about, you like that movie? You saw that movie? So it was pretty cool. And he does commentary on the DVD, or he did commentary on the Big Laser, and I do commentary on the DVD. But it's a wonderful movie. It's called Tales of Hoffman. It's an opera. You wouldn't expect that that's the kind of shit that I'd be looking at. Yeah. Hello. Hi. Yeah.
I just want to know, what do you think of the reemergence and the popularity of zombies in video games? What do you think of the medium for zombies on video games? And how is your own video game, City of the Dead, coming along?
What is City of the Dead? I don't know, man. You don't know. Like I signed a deal with Universal on Land of the Dead, and they had the rights to do video games and whatever else, and underwear. And I don't even know. That shit happens over there on the side. I'm not connected to it. I don't have a piece of it. None of that. So City of the Dead. No, I was trying to develop. I keep saying, man, let's do. But I want to be involved. I said I'd like to do some sort of a Living Dead, zombie game, whatever. But nobody wants you to be involved. They say, oh yeah, all they want is your name. They don't want you to help design it or help whatever, because they're probably afraid of whatever I might suggest. But they actually hired me to write a screenplay for that, and then they fired me. I mean, I did, a year and a half. I did like 4 drafts or whatever, and I thought it was cool. Capcom loved it, but the company that owned the rights said, no, this isn't exactly what we want. I got my ass fired.
I'm surprised because I'm actually seeing your Resident Evil 2 commercial you dragged over in Japan.
Who's speaking?
I'm just saying I was surprised they actually fired you from that because I actually saw the Resident Evil 2 commercial you dragged it over in Japan that never came over here. I thought it was
It just never happened. I mean, I loved the script. I thought it was cool. Capcom loved it. This was right after Resident Evil 1, and the guys from Capcom actually gave me some characters that were going to be in the second game, so that we could put them in the movie, and authorized by them. And I actually shot a commercial for the second Resident Evil game, and I thought it was a natural. I said, man, I'm your boy. But they said, no, get out of here. It's the way it happens, man.
I have 2 questions. The first question is, whenever I look at, the public domain, Night of the Living Dead DVDs, they'll quote on the back that the zombies came back as a result of the radioactive space probe that was in the 1968. It was mentioned briefly in a news clip, and I know that the zombies, their origin was never supposed to be known. And if you could go back and do it, would you have cut that?
I would cut it out. Let me tell you, here's the real story on that one. We had in the original, when we shot the original film, there was a thing on the news that said it was a germ, it was a virus. And then we had, I think there were like 3 explanations that we had in there somewhere. It was on the news, on the radio, on the TV. And then there was the one which we actually went to Washington, D.C. to shoot. So when Walter Reed decided to buy the film for distribution, they said we need 6-7 minutes out of this movie. It's a little too long. So we cut minutes out of it. Now, you may notice there's a point where Carl Hartman is in the basement and his head goes beep. It's like this jump cut, which was one of the cuts that Russ Striner, one of my partners on the thing, made that cut. That's a fucking jump cut, man. He said that nobody's ever going to see it. In the meantime, we had to cut 5-6 minutes out. That was one of the cuts. And Carl was just, bullshit and some more stuff, and they just cut it out right out of the middle. But we cut out the 2 other explanations, and we left in the Washington, D.C. thing, because we were saying, we're so cool, man. We went to Washington. We actually shot this in Washington. Look at it. It adds production value to the movie. Simple as that. So we left that in. Next thing you know, it's like in TV Guide, it says, a returning Venus probe causes people to come back to life after they're dead. I'm going, no, it's not supposed to be that. So that's the real story. So then in Dawn, I tried to sort of apologize for that. I gave Ken that line about, when there's no more room in hell, it's a voodoo thing, man. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what's happening. What matters is that it is happening. I don't care what. And there shouldn't be a reason for it. I'm sorry about it.
And my second question is, I know that on Land of the Dead, you went traditionally with your slow sampling zombies, and was it Dawn of the Dead, the remake that they did, they sped up the zombies. Yeah, 28 days later with the pseudo zombies. I mean, I'm glad that you stuck with the shambling zombies, but why do you think public interest seems to be going towards speeding up zombies? I mean, are slow zombies not threatening anymore to people?
Any zombie that runs is not a zombie. No, I figured their ankles would snap.
I agree. Thank you.
Hi, Romero. I just wanted to know what the news on
You know what, man? That project has been dead for like 3 years. Somehow. Somehow it's on. It keeps on the internet, and everybody keeps saying, "Well, you're doing this thing, Diamond Dead." I loved this project, man. I mean, I loved it. Nobody got it. Nobody wanted to do it. We had Ridley Scott was going to produce it. This guy Richard Hartley from Rocky Horror had the music was written, recorded, everything was done, designs were done, and everything. And we had Ridley. Ridley said, you know, man, I can get this movie made. Damn if he could. We went in everywhere to try to get it made. And everybody said, what the fuck is this? Nobody got it. Nobody got it. This is, I don't know how many of you may have read some of this stuff. I loved it. It was great. It's like it's about, there's a boy band in the very beginning. It's a boy band. Except the lead singer's got a girlfriend who's pissed off because it's a boy band and she wants to sing. So she winds up buying from the devil an atomic subwoofer. And she cranks it all the way up when the boys are rehearsing and the building collapses and the boys all laugh. And then the devil comes back around and says, well, would you like to have the boys back? And she says, yes, I'm feeling so guilty. And he brings them back, but they're all like, you know, their noses are falling off. But they can still play.
Thank you. Hey there, George. I was wondering, after the show, could you sign my shoe? I have a real question after this. I just really want your signature on my shoe.
What kind of?
Congress, sir.
Well, come on. What's your name? Tom? Jewett? Just Tom? Doesn't make a difference. Tom, how about just Tom? Tom? That's right. Sign this guy's shoe. Thank you. Now, please. Wait a minute, I just noticed Tom's got a tail.
Okay, real quick, my real question. Like, what has to be your favorite scene in any of your Living Dead movies that you've ever had?
In my films?
Yeah, that you actually worked on. Like, yeah, but the favorite scene that you actually put effort most into.
I don't, you know, my favorite film of mine is Martin, overall. Just because it turned out, you know, closer to the way I wrote it and all that. But as far as the zombie movies, man, it's got to be all them scenes with Howard Sherman. He was just unbelievable. Howard is, you know, Karloff worthy. I thought he was just this unbelievable. I loved all the scenes that he did. He just did it beautifully. So those are my faves, actually. And it's thanks to Howard, you know, more than me. A lot of it was
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, pal. Please. He's got a tail. You ain't only going to meet me out there with shoes.
Yeah, hi. I was just curious. What are your views on the media blaming horror movies for anything that bad happened?
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
The media, whenever they blame horror movies for like when somebody goes and kills somebody else in real life. I was wondering what your views on that.
You know, man, I'm sorry, but I didn't quite hear that. The media?
Yeah, whenever the media, they blame horror movies.
You're a member of the media?
No, absolutely not.
I was going to say, you know, I'll subscribe. If when they portray, I really couldn't hear it. It just was echoing. That's your question?
Yes.
I don't know. I suppose there have been people who have eaten other people. But man, I can't subscribe to it. I'm saying, hey man, this is a fantasy. It's meant to express something else. It's meant to, I don't know if it inspires, but like people have, Superman, I see all these Superman things around here. People have jumped off buildings trying to fly. It's your problem.
Romero.
Yes, sir.
On many of your movies, there is a utopic and dystopic society set up. I think really culminating in Land of the Dead, to where the zombies were starting to take on their own lives again, and the living ended up being the ones who were sequestered and almost dead. I guess what I would like to know is, when you write the zombie parts, do you write the zombie parts as far as everybody else around us, and that is the actual harmonic society going against the few living that are the dissenting living trying to kill everything else?
You should ask Roger Ebert this question. Man, I never knew exactly what it was about. To me, it was about revolution. I ripped off the original idea from a Richard Matheson novel called I Am Legend. I openly ripped it off, except I couldn't use vampires because he did. So I said, okay, I'm going to make them fleshy. And I didn't even think they were zombies, because back then, zombies were those guys in the Caribbean, bug-eyed cats that were picking cotton for Lugosi. And killing the guys that he wanted to know. And so I never thought of them as zombies. I thought of them, I said, well, flesh eaters, ghouls. I mean, there was even a old universal, ghoul. There was a ghoul. The ghoul was sort of, I thought, the disappeared character, the monster that had disappeared from the face of the earth. So I call them ghouls. They were ghouls. They were flesh eaters. First movie. What I was trying to do is, and I thought that I Am Legend was basically about revolution. It was about revolution. It's about a sea change in the earth, where everything is, we're kicking it all over, man, and now it's us, not you anymore. But that book starts with one guy. I don't know if people that don't know the book. It's The Last Man. It was made twice in the films. The Mega Man and The Last Man. And the story starts when there's only one human left, and the rest of the world has turned into vampires. And I said, well, if you're going to do a story about revolution, you should start when the revolution starts. You don't want to come in at the end, You miss too much. So basically, I ripped off the idea and I said, I'm going to do this thing about revolution. Zombies, in my mind, were not even zombies. They were, they were just ghouls. They were people. The dead weren't staying dead. I mean, that was sort of the idea that I had. And they were, coming back and kicking and eating you. So that was it. I mean, that's really where it came. Beyond that, as far as, then I realized realized that we had done something that had a bit of social significance. We lived in that farmhouse when we shot that movie. And we would sit there and, and talk about what was going on in the world. So, it basically was about revolution. Now, we cast an actor named Dwayne Jones, who was an African American in the lead role. In the script, the guy was not described as an African American. The guy was just got that bend, like never wore white, black, yellow. And Dwayne was the best actor from among our friends. We said, "Hey, would you like to do it?" And he said, "Yeah." And he was the guy who was scared. He said, "You know what? I'm going to punch this white woman." And somebody's going to go gunning for me. He was the only, he was sensitive to it. The rest of us were going, "Hey, man, we're doing the right thing." And I'm not sure we did the right thing. I'm not sure whatever. We just didn't change the script. That's the only credit that we deserve. But that movie, man, the night that Russ Schreiner and I put that movie in the trunk of a car, finished it, drove it to New York, see if somebody wanted to show it. And that night, we heard on the car radio that Martin Luther King had been shot. So it was timing. It was just an amazing sort of confluence of circumstance and I think that's probably why the French said this movie's wrong.
Well, thank you very much.
I don't know if that completely addresses your question, but I'm still using this same franchise to try to, you see something happening in the world and you try to sort of talk about it a little bit, or you try to infuse a little bit of the, whatever, your attitudes into it or whatever. But in the last film, sort of I switched horses because the first three films had African American leads in them, and I said, you know what? It's time for people to start rooting for the zombies. So I said, the lead zombie ought to be an African American here, and maybe at least people will understand that I'm trying to side with them. They're who I side with, man. The zombies.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that your movies, metaphors, and all that you've done have just driven the imagination of billions, and you're much appreciated.
Thank you. I'm just trying to keep silly.
Hey, Mr. Romero.
Yes.
I just want to say you're the reason why I've always adored horror movies, especially the less. Sorry.
No, I can hear you. What's up?
The ones with the less graphics, like the King Kong
Yes,
movies.
yes. Who are you?
My name is Ken.
But who are you dressed as? You the Mad Hatter? Are you the Black Mad Hatter? What?
I'm the Mad Hatter. My Alice is right here. Yep. Stand up, honey.
It was really slidey toes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just saw this shape. I didn't know if you were Johnny Depp or some other guy.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I prefer the claymation monkey any day over the computer monkey. I just want to say, what is, out of all four of the movies you did, Night, Dawn, Day, and Land of the Dead, which one was your favorite?
It still is Day. A lot of people are going to disagree with this. For some reason, and you don't know why you like a movie that you make. So much of it has to do with not so much the film. I can't watch it. I can't watch any of my movies and say, Jesus, that's a good piece of filmmaking. Because all you do is see the errors. You just say, oh, fuck, we didn't have the money. So out to be the experience and the people you're working with, and you know the people that you're around, and everybody's plugging to get it done, and you know, and that's wonderful. It's like Dark Half. I think I don't know. I have this conceit that maybe Dark Half is maybe my best crafted film, but the experience of making Dark Half was absolute fucking hell. And so I can't think of it as one of my favorites, you know. So you love the movies where you're working with people that are with you and that are pulling for the same, you know, pulling that cannon, you know, across Spain. You know, and so much of that goes into it. You can never watch your own movie. Me, I can't never watch my own movies and objective. The moment I see it, you know, frame one is called, man, that was the day that the guy, you know. It brings back so many memories. So you're flying on instruments completely, and you're ripping off. I mean, you are ripping off left and right. You don't. Making movies, it's not like drawing. You know, you can't just buy a sketch pad for $4 and draw. It costs a lot of money to make a movie. And you don't get a chance to sketch. You don't get a chance to try things out, you know, like experiment and all that. So, you know, it flies away from you, you know. And so you're flying on instruments and you're trying to do your best and trying to translate, you know, the script you wrote into a movie. You know. And so much of it is who you're working with. And people, when there are people working with you who care about it, who you care about, and they care about you, all of a sudden that's your favorite.
Well, regardless as to whether or not you think you did a good job, I absolutely adore them, and I think everyone here speaks for that reason.
One of the things I've noticed about all your films, the best ones, is that you work well with ensembles, particularly like creating a believable group dynamic with your actors. And I was just wondering how you go about crafting that. Is that something you meet with each actor individually with, or is it more like y'all get around the room and read the script through? I just wondering what your method is, how you work so well with groups.
There's somebody behind you that looks like. Sorry. It was hard to look at you because there was this guy. No, man, I just like to have a lot of people around because it's easier to hide behind them. I don't mean to be facetious. I love to have my thing. I tell you, and any aspiring filmmakers in this room, the main thing is, and this is the God's truth, if you work with somebody, like I've had people that come and say, let me volunteer, you know, I'll bring you coffee. And they show up if they're reliable, if they're good, if they're nice guys, if they're, you know, whatever, and then they say, okay, well, call you again. Next time they get paid $5. Next time they get paid $500, you know, next time they're in. It's a completely collaborative process. You cannot make a movie as one person cannot make a movie. You need a bunch of people with you. You need somebody to, you know, do this, that, and the other job. Yeah, and any filmmaker, I think, will tell you that people who are dedicated, who care about it, who do their job, who really, you know, care about the process, care about the film, care about the project, you're going to say, come back next time. And that's what it's all about. It's come back next time. This business is come back next time. And that's really the deal, man. You love it, you want to love it, and then you wind up, if you're in a position of hiring, you wind up hiring people that you like. People who did a great job last time, and you say, come back. It's not a mystery. It's not a mystery. It's like if you're dedicated to it. Now, you know, then the other side of the coin is that people come in to work on a film and they're just all about me. You know, you're not going to tell that guy to come back next time. don't know how else to express it. You know, it's a difficult job. It's difficult to make a movie, and what you want is people that are, you know, willing to help you instead of, you know, try to toot their own horn or whatever. Anybody that's willing to help is welcome. Come back next time.
All right, well, I was really more looking along the lines of how you work with the actors on their performance.
So I answered a question that he did.
It was a great question, though.
Wasting my time.
Oh, no, good answer.
Actors?
Yeah, like really, when it comes to trying to create that believable group dynamic, like say in Dawn of the Dead, where you have like the four main survivors, they seem to work like real people. It's not like they're isolated. They have a group dynamic, and I just wonder how you do that so well in your films.
Well, the fact is they were real people. David never flew a helicopter in his life. So, no, man, you know, it goes back to the question that I answered that I didn't need to answer. You know, you meet people, they come in, you know, you chat about things, and you talk about, you know, what the objective is and all that, and you just try to glue it together. It's all, if everybody is there to do the work and achieve whatever the object of the original. And it doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get people forced on you. I've had directors of photography forced on me. I've had actors forced on me. I've had, because the studio said, no, we'll only make this movie if you cast Tim Hunt. Okay, so we cast Tim. Tim wound up being, in the end, fabulous in a movie I made called Dark Half, which is based on a Stephen King novel. But in the early weeks, man, Tim and I were like oil and water. I mean, it was like, he was busting my balls. I guess I was busting his. So that's just not a good environment. What you want is, okay, let's all get together and try to get something done. Actors, I don't make the chemistry, it's the actors. The actors relate to each other and somehow, and it works.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Romero.
Hello there.
I'm very nervous. Please excuse me. I'm
Sorry.
a big fan. Whenever I read anything about Night of the Living Dead, the original,
I'm sorry, man. You know what? This microphone is not happening. I can't. It's like. Sorry. Say again. Maybe step a little further back from the mic.
okay. Whenever I read anything about Night of the Living Dead, they mention incest in it. And no matter how many times I've seen that movie, I don't see it.
I'm sorry, man. It's like something. I can't hear you. No. Somebody eat that baby. Come over here. Hello there. Hi. Sit here. You want to answer some questions? And sign your badge. Nobody puts their real name on their badge. It's always like death and destruction. Yeah, but Darlene doesn't show up on the email. Is that Maine? Is that Maine? So, okay, I'm gonna have to sign this. You can ask me. What am I supposed to do? Shannon? Incest? finish of it. No. I mean, you know, we were trying to illustrate the destruction of values, and one of the things we talked about when we were living in the farmhouse in Dragoncon was, you know, yeah, the family is dead too. Not only is the country dead, but the family is dead. So that's what it was about. But I didn't think it was incest. There's incest in the crazies. That's because they're crazy. Don't. Oh, good. Thank you. See you. It's worried about incest. Well, somebody, you have to police it. I don't know. I'm not going to say no.
Turn her mic up.
Next question can be the last one. Sorry about that.
You catch me in the bar. I guess they need these tables.
Hello, George Romero.
Yes, sir.
I have been, you've been pretty much inspiring me for all.
You know, I can't hear you.
Go on, man.
Calm down.
Yeah. Go on.
Okay, here it goes. We're having a private conversation. He's saying to me, how do I feel about critics who say zombies are learning or getting too smart or whatever the fuck, they're using weapons? How do I feel about critics? That's where I cut the sentence off. Hey man, you get an idea, and I thought these guys should be developing, they should be a little smarter now. But, I mean, Day of the Dead, Bud was still, to this day, is one of the smartest. And I love him, and Howard did a great job with it. And I don't know why people say, well, I don't know. I mean, how I feel about critics. Cut the question off there, and I'll say, don't like you a lot. But at the same time, man, it's been, my films have been discovered by critics, We made Night of the Living Dead. It was this little movie about played drive-ins, came to what all this. And all of a sudden, the French, hey, this said, oh, these kids are talking about American politics. So I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. Critics can whack you. They can also rave about you. And neither one is exactly where it's at. Let's just talk about it. Don't rave, don't slam. Just let's talk about it. Anyway. Thanks for coming down. Oh yeah, sure. What's your artist name?
Everybody, thank you for coming. Let's have a big hand for George Romero.